Northern stakeholders urge Agric power overhaul at Investment Summit. Pengassan, Dangote Refinery Management in closed-door meeting with federal government. Katsina authorities broker peace deal with bandits in Dusama. And on the foreign scene, insurgents kill 4 near Mozambique military base. Hello, good evening and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Dorcas Yakubuzala. A Northern Elders Forum says businesses in northern Nigeria will remain disadvantaged unless government and the financial sector review policies that limit access to credit and investment. Speaking at the 2025 Northern Nigeria Investment and Industrialization Summit in Abuja, themed Unlocking Strategic Opportunities in Mining, Agriculture and Power, the forum unveiled the MAP 2035 blueprint. Trust TV's Noel Sampson completes the report.
The plan sets out a path for developing infrastructure and creating fairer financing frameworks to unlock the North's economic potential. With 160 million people, vast arable land, and 44 study minerals, participants said Northern Nigeria's growth is central to Nigerians and Africans' prosperity. They also stressed the need for collaboration beyond politics.
We must express our continuous concern that unless government and financial sector review their policies, businesses based in northern Nigeria will remain disadvantaged. The current practice where entrepreneurs can only access substantial credit if they hold properties in Lagos or Port Harcourt is unjust and exclusionary.
No nation or region has ever industrialized with generators. The power sector is the engine room for industrialization. Taking advantage of Electricity Act 2023, we must pool our resources and political will to develop a northern power strategy. This involves not just connecting to the national grid, but aggressively investing in embedded generating from solar, hydro, as well as gas to create industrial clusters with dedicated, reliable power.
It is my conviction that with the shared vision, commitment, and resilience of our leaders, investors, and entrepreneurs, development partners, Northern Nigeria will unlock its immense potential and contribute meaningfully to national development.
The Minister of Finance, lled, who represented the President, joined other top officials to outline the administration's efforts to support balanced development across all regions.
More critically, industrial growth, where jobs are created, doubled year on year, while agriculture and services also expanded robustly. Inflation has begun to ease, 20.12% in August, and it's consistently month after month, last 5 months has been coming down.
The totality of the Renewed Hope agenda was to remove distortions that will ensure that when, among other leaders of northern Nigeria or any part of Nigeria meet with investors, those distortions that used to be a bar to investment have been dealt away with. A lot of institutional realignment was done to draw attention to the importance of different sectors that can contribute to prosperity, particularly in the north.
We must approach security, and we should stop blaming anybody for our security. We take responsibility on our own that we are responsible for our security, and we work on our security, and we go strictly on our own security. It doesn't matter which kind of form you will do. So what we expect out of this is sincerity. We'll be sincere with ourselves. Stop blaming anybody. If we are blaming anybody, blame ourselves. So take it upon ourselves to go from one end to another, so we'll be able to solve our problem. And I strongly believe that's the right way to go.
One of the summit's highlights was the signing of the Northern Nigeria Integrated Economic Development Charter and the handover of the NEAI compendium to the Northern's Elder Forum. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Nigeria's oil and gas sector faces fresh uncertainty as the standoff between Dangote Refinery and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASN, escalates. On Monday, PENGASN members barricaded the headquarters of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, in Abuja. The protest follows the dismissal of 800 workers at the Dangote Refinery in Lagos. Ismail Ibrahim completes the report.
We are right here at the headquarters of the NNPC in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where members of PENGASN are protesting over a late sacking of 800 members at the Dangote Refinery, which they kick against. Right now, it seems the reef is not over yet, and nobody knows where it's going to end, as PENGASN directed its members to comply with this strike, which may actually cripple economic activities in Nigeria.
We are not asking for anything other than Dangote reinstate the Nigerians that you have sacked in the country and allow them to be unionized. That is all we are asking for. We don't hate Dangote. We are happy that Dangote Refinery has come to stay. We are happy. However, we are in a country that has rules and regulations. You are not bigger than Nigeria. So Nigeria must stand as a Nigerian. That's all we are here for. Solidarity, solidarity, injury to one, injury to all, life to one, and life to all.
The union's industrial action could halt gas supply to the national grid, triggering a nationwide blackout.
Because you now see that you are not going to get the free money which you are getting before, and therefore Nigeria should pay for it. So government and security agencies should come into this, because it's a national security issue that they are trying to, because it will harm the economy. It will harm the economy, because if you stop supply of energy to the economy, do you know how much this economy make in a day? It's in billions, of dollars. So you can't afford to do that to Nigeria.
Later in the day, the Ministry of Labor and Employment convened an emergency meeting with PENGASN, Dangote Group, and government officials to seek a resolution.
This is a realization of the fact that what is happening today is very dear to this country, very dear to our economy, and very dear to the security of this nation. We have been informed that PENGASN is on strike, and a very serious one for that matter, because I never knew that they have closed NNPC itself and other subsidiaries of oil and gas industry. I think, I don't want to make any judgment, but we didn't know that this is the magnitude of this strike.
This is not the first time the oil sector is facing union unrest. In 1994, PENGASN's strike drew a heavy crackdown from the Abuja regime after exports were crippled. As of the time of filing this report, talks between the parties were ongoing behind closed doors. Until an agreement is reached, Nigeria's oil and gas sector remains at a standstill. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Still in Abuja, Justice Emmanuel Njuma Subilim of the National Industrial Court in Abuja has restrained the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASN, from embarking on an industrial action against Dangote Petroleum Refinery. Justice Subilim, ruling on an ex parte application by Dangote Refinery on Monday, specifically restrained PENGASN from cutting crude and gas supply to Dangote Refinery. Besides PENGASN, other defendants in the suit include Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, and the Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC. A senior advocate of Nigeria, SAN, George Ibrahim, argued the application for Dangote Refinery. And now, on a sad note, Arise News Channel is mourning the tragic loss of a young presenter, a young journalist, Somto Chukwu Maduagu, who died in the early hours of Monday September 29th, following a violent armed robbery at her residence in the Katempe area of Abuja. In a statement obtained from his X handle on Monday, the 29-year-old broadcaster, affectionately known as Somi, was a respected news anchor, reporter and producer who had become a familiar and trusted face to viewers across the country. Somi tragically passed away in the early hours of Monday, September 29, 2025, following an armed robbery incident in her residence in the Katempe area of Abuja that is being investigated by the Nigeria police. Tributes have poured in from across the media industry, civil society and the legal profession, as well as from members of the public who followed her work. Many have called for justice and demanded swift action from the authorities. May her soul rest in peace. Amen. Now, the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, says it has resolved to shut down all the public universities in the country after another fresh 14 days it is given expires over unmet demands. It explained that the notice, starting from Sunday, September 28, 2025, will first herald a 2-week warning strike before embarking on a total and indefinite strike over the federal government's attitude towards resolving pending issues. The union made the decision on Monday following a National Executive Council meeting that was held on Sunday at its headquarters in the University of Abuja. President of ASU, Professor Chris Piwuna, who made this known in a strike notice he personally signed, said the union was tired of the government's attitude towards education. ASU's demands include renegotiations of the 2009 agreement, adequate revitalization funds for universities, settlement of outstanding salary arrears, as well as sustainable funding mechanisms, amongst others. Now, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund says the application portal for the 2024-2025 academic session will officially close on Tuesday. An update by the agency on X said the move was to conclude processing of pending applications and upkeep payments. It also announced timelines for the 2025-2026 academic cycle to expand access to higher education through interest-free student loans. The loan portal will reopen in the second week of October for fresh applications and remain open until January 2026. A development was also confirmed by the Managing Director of NEL Fund, Akintunde Sawyer, on Monday in Abuja. He directed institutions to update their students' records on the student verification system to enable applicants to access the scheme. Sawyer added that all unverified applications for 2024-2025 will be automatically cancelled after October 8, noting that students affected will be required to reapply under the new session. Now, local authorities in Dusama local government area of Katsina State and leaders of bandits terrorizing the area on Sunday sealed a peace deal. The meeting, which was convened by the ward, village and district heads in collaboration with Dusama local government officials, aims to restore peace in one of the most affected areas by banditry. Dusama has for years suffered from repeated attacks that claimed hundreds of lives, led to thousands of abductions and destroyed properties worth millions of naira. Trust TV's Abdullahi Yamadi completes the report.
The peace agreement was reached at Rugu on the fringes of the Rugu forest along the Dusama-Saskia road. Among those present were notorious bandit leaders Monori, an indigene of Damusa local government, Adamu Aleru from Safi in Zamfara state, and Mohodingi from Safana local government, all operating within Damusa, Safana, Dusima, and Kurfi areas. According to reports, the repentant bandit leaders control over 500 fighters and possess hundreds of sophisticated weapons. They arrived at the meeting with more than 100 armed men to present the terms and conditions of the peace deal. This peace deal should be genuine for lasting peace to prevail. Release our members, and we are already in the process of releasing all captives in our possession. Two, we want peace. We were not like this before. We once lived and worked together peacefully until political manipulation caused this crisis. Thank God, we are working to end it now. The bandit leaders warned local officials against breaching the agreement, stressing that while the deal would reduce violence, complete peace should not be expected immediately. Monori also referenced failed peace agreements in other local governments and cautioned that Duzuma officials must strictly adhere to the current terms. He assured that as part of the ceasefire, all captives in their custody would be released and all attacks suspended on the condition that their detained members are released unconditionally and without delay. The Andakan Katsina district head of Duzuma and the council chairman Kabir Abdusalam pledged a sincere reconciliation process that would include rehabilitation, reintegration, and provision of basic necessities for the repentant bandits. From this moment, I assure you that all your demands will be reviewed with the intent to fulfill the agreed conditions, including restoring cattle routes, grazing reserves, and other essential needs. As chairman of Duzuma local government, I will ensure the rehabilitation and reconstruction of communities affected by banditry. Security experts, however, advise that for the peace to be sustainable, government authorities must act swiftly to provide essential needs, reconstruct and rehabilitate affected communities, and empower residents to rebuild their lives. Observers say the success of the peace deal depends largely on mutual trust and the sincerity of all parties involved. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
New concerns are emerging around the growing insecurity in Nigeria as groups abroad and politicians at home are once again shaping the devastation as a Christian genocide narrative, a claim that risks deepening divisions ahead of 2027. In this explainer, Abdullahi Ahmed takes a look at the numbers, the reality, and shifting political narratives. Take a look.
Is there really a Christian genocide in Nigeria today? Well, some lobby groups abroad and even some politicians here at home keep saying so. But the facts tell a more complicated story. From 2019 to 2023, about 56,000 people were killed in violence. Not all of it was religious. In that same period, there were 65 church attacks with 244 Christians killed inside worship centers. But there were also 12 mosque attacks, leaving 45 Muslims dead while praying. The violence is ongoing. In 2025, 5 worshippers were shot dead in a Zamfara mosque. Just weeks later in Katsina, 13 Muslims were killed during dawn prayers in Malumfashi. And back in August, bandits massacred about 50 people in villages across the same state. Now, these are not one-sided stories. The patterns are clear. In the northeast, Boko Haram burned churches but also slaughtered Muslims who stood in their way. In the northwest, bandits raid and kidnap mostly Muslim communities for ransom and revenge. In the north central, farmer-herder clashes are economic struggles over land where Christians and Muslims die. In the southeast, violence linked to IPOB and its armed wing, the ESN, has claimed at least 776 lives since 2021, according to SPM intelligence. All 5 states across the region have been hit by attacks tied to sit-at-home orders, which not only cost lives but also cripple the economy. An estimated 7.6 trillion naira lost in just 2 years from market shutdowns, broken supply chains, and stalled businesses across the region. In a region that is overwhelmingly Christian, these killings show that the violence is not anti-Christian, but political and separatist in nature. So, why are some organizations cherry-picking only church attacks? Why do some politicians lean into the Christian genocide line when elections are near? With 2027 around the corner, insecurity in Nigeria has become a campaign talking point, turning real human suffering into political ammunition. Religious persecution exists. Christians have suffered terrible attacks. But framing Nigeria's crisis as a one-sided genocide erases Muslim victims, oversimplifies decades-old communal and economic conflicts, and deepens divisions. The reality is this: both churches and mosques are under fire. Both Christians and Muslims are bleeding, and the killers are terrorists, bandits, and militias. Not one religion against another.
In other news, over 6.2 million Nigerians have completed their online pre-registration for the continuous voter registration CVR data released by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has shown. Figures published on INEC's X page reveal that a total of 6,232,673 people were recorded as pre-registrants between September 22nd and 28, 2025. From the number, 52.1% were females, while 47.85% were males. The data showed that 4,230,715 Nigerians between the ages of 18 and 34 were youths, 1,565,824 were students, and 137,865 were people with disabilities. INEC stated that between September 22nd and 26, 2025, 1,004,132 Nigerians completed either the physical or online registration. The number included 537,743 people who completed their registration online and 466,389 people who completed theirs physically. The Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, has tasked the newly elected executive members of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the state to ensure that the party wins all political seats in the 2027 general elections. Governor Makinde gave the charge at the party's Congress held at the Lekan Salami Sports Complex in Ibadan. The governor described the exercise as a process to ensure that the PDP remains in power beyond 2027 and charged party members to give the new executive members their support to deliver the offices of the presidency to the least political office for the party. Governor Makinde prayed that the party would not labor in vain and assured every member of the party of dividends of democracy. Earlier, the chairman of the Electoral Panel Committee, Senator Austin Akubundu, had charged delegates to cooperate with the arrangement. A total of 4,050 delegates across the state participated in the Congress, which elected executive members to run the affairs of the party for the next 4 years.
This is a process to ensure that PDP continue to remain in power in Oyo State beyond 2027. So the executives that will emerge from this exercise, your mandate is very clear. Deliver PDP presidential to the councillorship position.
It's true we're going through some difficulty in PDP, but then I think by your commitment, your resilience and your loyalty, we are going to invent a new PDP for Nigeria. And therefore, the new ESCO, which has just been elected, you've got a very, very huge task ahead of you to inspire, to motivate, and so confident PDP in Oyo State and by Nigeria.
By the power conferred on me as the chairman of this Oyo State Congress, I hereby declare Ogumbenro Abiona Dayo and Adeleke Owasiu Adeomi as duly elected as chairman and deputy chairman. All other officers are also duly elected. I want to admonish every members of PDP. Please, let's go back to our various local governments and redouble our efforts to see that come 2027, PDP wins the general election.
A group of lawyers in Ondo State have filed a lawsuit against Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, accusing his administration of crippling local government operations despite federal efforts to strengthen governance at the grassroots level. Lawyers under the umbrella of the Ondo Redemption Front allege that local councils across the state have deteriorated due to the government's continued diversion of local government funds. Trust TV's Habibat Ajayi completes the report.
They also cited neglect in critical sectors such as health, misplaced priorities in infrastructure projects like the Shagari Village Bridge, and what they described as the governor's failure to provide effective leadership. The group further raised concerns over unresolved financial controversies, including a 240 billion naira bond insurance and alleged 12 billion naira monthly kickbacks.
So the fulcrum of what we are saying, that it is a right of the people of Ondo State that Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa should stand before the people of Ondo State and give us a monthly analysis of what has been accrued to the state and how he has been spending it. And it is funny to us that he has been running away from this.
The current governor, when he was deputy governor and he was about to be impeached, the same way we've gone to court today to compel them to answer to simple questions we're asking about our Commonwealth. That was the same way we went to court to compel and ensure the late Governor Akeredolu had to leave the space even before his eventual or unfortunate death. It was the same way we as a group went to court to ensure the rule of law was upheld in Ondo State.
Stakeholders expressed disappointment over what they described as the lack of urgency and coherent progress under Governor Aiyedatiwa's leadership. They advised him to adopt a more democratic and transparent approach to governance.
Governor Aiyedatiwa must release audited accounts of all bond proceeds and state finances. Number 3, he must reinvest in healthcare and rescue the crumbling infrastructure system. Number 4, he must end political distractions and focus on service delivery. Number 5, he must allow the House of Assembly to exercise real oversight free from partisanship.
They also reminded the governor that the overwhelming mandate he received in the November 2024 election was not to preside over drift and decay, but to deliver meaningful transformation and development in Ondo State. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja has declared illegal, unlawful and unconstitutional the plan by a former presidential candidate, Professor Pat Utomi, to establish a shadow government in Nigeria. The judge on Monday issued an order restraining Utomi and his associates from proceeding with their plan to establish a shadow government or cabinet in the country. Justice Omotosho issued the order while delivering judgment on a suit filed by the Department of State Services DSS against Utomi. Justice Omotosho declared the concept of shadow government or cabinet as unconstitutional and an alien concept to the nation's presidential system of government. The judge held that Utomi and his associates cannot hide under the right of association to criticize and engage in unlawful activities. He commended the plaintiff for filing the suit and held, amongst others, that it was within the rights of the DSS to take steps to prevent acts capable of threatening the nation's internal security. 4 suspected masterminds and informants linked to the recent bandits attack on Kadisau village in Faskari local government area of Katsina State, an attack that claimed several lives, have been arrested and handed over to members of the Community Security Watch Corps for interrogation. Kadisau community has suffered multiple attacks in recent times, resulting in hundreds of deaths, dozens injured, and hundreds of livestock rustled. In the most recent incident, about 3 residents were killed, 5 women abducted, and an unspecified number of animals carted away. Trust TV's Abdullahi Yamadi in Katsina obtained a viral video showing the suspects being interrogated by local security operatives in Faskari. His report.
The villagers, suspecting the involvement of 3 men among them, ordered their arrest and interrogation a few weeks ago. The suspects were identified as Muhammadu Rabiu Babangida, 45, Saidu Haruna, 35, and Abba Ibrahim, 25, all from Kadisau, Wasani, and the Magura villages in the Faskari local government area. One of the suspects, Abba Ibrahim, confessed to participating in recent attacks on Kadisau, Ungwarzangu, and Kanawa villages. He admitted to killing one person identified as Maisoni during the Kadisau attack because the victim recognized him. Abba, who also confessed to being a gun runner, alleged that the assault on Kadisau was carried out by bandits loyal to a notorious kingpin, Bello Turji, who operates around Megura in Faskari and the Birningwari forest in Kaduna State. I participated in the recent massacre in my village, Kadisau. I am also a gun runner, supplying AK-47 rifles, magazines, and ammunition which I purchased from a friend in Sabo Town, the headquarters of Sabo local government area. Similarly, Muhammadu Rabiu Wasani confessed to supplying food items, fuel, and other essentials to a bandit leader known as Malam. He also admitted to taking part in several bandits' attacks on Wasani, Raudama, and Ungwargizo villages, where about 10 people were killed, dozens abducted for ransom, and livestock rustled. Apart from supplying food and fuel to the bandits, they also pay me between 200,000 and 250,000 naira to organize attacks on villages. So far, I have coordinated and participated in about 8 to 10 successful operations, including one in my own community. In a related confession, Saidu Haruna Megura told the local security outfit that he regularly supplied food items, fuel, drinks, and agricultural chemicals, including herbicides and pesticides, to another bandit leader, also identified as Malam. He further disclosed his relationship with another terrorist kingpin, Awali, with whom he maintained contact through errands and supply deals. My relationship with another bandit leader, Awali, is that I used to escort his girlfriend to his camp. He usually pays me between 50 to 100,000 naira for each errand. These arrests and confessions further highlight the depths of complicity and collaboration fueling banditry and other forms of criminality across the country, underscoring the urgent need for community vigilance and societal reorientation. Abdullahi Izumayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
And the Federal Capital Territory FCT Police Command has tracked down and arrested 5 notorious and wanted bandits and recovered arms and ammunition. The Public Relations Officer of the FCT Police Command made a development known in a statement on Monday. She stated that the operation was led by the Commander's Scorpion Squad on the 20th through to 28th September 2025. Following preliminary investigation, the PPRO revealed that the suspects were responsible for several kidnappings in the north-central, northwest and northeast regions of the country. She said the suspects have been on the wanted list of the police and other security agencies. According to her, they were tracked to Nasarawa, where they were arrested. 2,186 rounds of live ammunition, 2 AK-47 rifles with obliterated serial numbers, 1 locally fabricated pistol with 2 live cartridges and 5 operational motorcycles were recovered from the suspects. Now, tension is rising in Zaki Biam town of Benue State following the killing of a repentant bandit, Kyoga Joka Biam, who had recently joined forces with security operatives to combat insecurity in the area. An eyewitness said that Joka was gunned down at the Zaki Biam main market under yet-to-be-ascertained circumstances. Until his death, he had been working with the Civilian Joint Task Force, reportedly with the late security officers recently killed in an ambush in the troubled Sankera area of the state. A development has thrown residents of Zaki Biam into fear as questions are being raised over the safety of other community security collaborators. Security agencies are yet to release an official statement on the incident. Now, the Kano State Police Command says it has recovered tramadol and pregabalin tablets worth over 82 million naira in Rimin Alzinawa area of Kano Metropolis. The State Commissioner of Police, Ibrahim Adamu Bakori, announced this Monday while briefing newsmen. He said the recovery was part of a wider crackdown that led to the arrest of over 100 suspects for various criminal offenses. Bakori added that the recovered drugs will be handed over to the NDLEA for further investigation and prosecution.
The command has achieved significant breakthrough within 1 month, including the arrest of suspects for various felonious offenses and the recovery of dangerous weapons and large quantities of illicit drugs. Notably, we recently recovered tramadol and pregabalin tablet worth 82,725,000 in Rimin Auzunawa quarters in Kano, which will be handed over to NDLEA for further investigation and prosecution.
The Development Research and Project Center, DRPC, is intensifying efforts to combat gender-based violence and promote girls' education in Nigeria. As part of its advocacy drive, the organization paid a high-level courtesy visit to the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar. The report.
In a strategic effort to strengthen partnerships with religious institutions, the Development Research and Project Center, DRPC, led a delegation to the palace of the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar. The visit focused on forging alliances to end gender-based violence and promote girls' education, two causes that align closely with both DRPC's mission and the Sultanate's long-standing advocacy. The delegation highlighted DRPC's ongoing initiatives, including the Muslim Opinion Leaders Project and a recent learning exchange in Egypt, which inspired a new publication focused on addressing gender-based violence. Also present at the meeting was Professor Taufik Abubakar of Bayero University Center for Islamic Civilization and Dialogue, who emphasized the vital role of Muslim opinion leaders in reshaping public attitudes towards gender justice.
Our collaborative activities with the DRPC on fighting against gender-based violence from Islamic perspectives. The visit has been very beautiful and yielding, because His Eminence has shown the enthusiasm of working together with the DRPC and with Bayero University Kano in the cause of fighting against the gender-based violence.
We feel really energized and very enthusiastic about the advice that the Sultan kindly give us to ask about the critical role that the family play, but not only, but also the women roles within the family. To just quote him, the point is really we have to ensure that the family is functioning, and how to ensure the family is functioning is to ensure that women play their role quietly, and also in the safe environment.
Through this intervention, that's the most GBV intervention, we were able to recruit about 50 judges, Sharia court judges in Kano State, and we were able to train them on the gender perspective from Islamic, gender-based violence from Islamic perspective. And we were able to come up with a lot of issues that will help them resolve the current situation, the excessive burden of proof, and the problems that women are encountering in the judicial system when it comes to seeking for justice from the perspective of personal status in Kano State.
DRPC, with the support of the Ford Foundation, selected some Muslim scholars and Muslim opinion leaders from Kano, Kaduna, Jigawa, Bauchi, and Niger, and from two states, and they were supported to go on a study tour in Egypt.
1 out of every 3 women in Nigeria has experienced physical or sexual violence. Over 27,000 cases were reported in the past 3 years, yet only 339 convictions were secured. 6 out of 10 Nigerians say they have either been affected by GBV or know someone who has, and more than half of women with disabilities have suffered some form of violence. In response, the Sultan proposed hosting a roundtable of religious leaders to deepen dialogue on gender and education, marking a new phase of collaboration between tradition, faith, and reform.
And the federal government on Monday declared Wednesday, October 1st, as a public holiday to mark Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, announced this on Monday. In a statement signed by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Magdalene Ajani, the minister congratulated Nigerians on the historic milestone. He urged citizens to continue upholding patriotism, unity and resilience, which he said have kept the nation together since its independence in 1960. The minister also called on Nigerians to keep faith in President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, which he said is focused on national rebirth, economic growth and shared prosperity. Tunji-Ojo stated that with collective effort, Nigeria would continue to advance in peace, progress and development. Now, the FCT Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board has released the approved Hajj fare for 2026 exercise amounting to 8 billion naira. A statement by the director of the board, Kadiri Eda, urged intending pilgrims to complete payment before the end of December this year to be part of the religious journey. The director also said that prospective pilgrims can make a deposit in respect of the exercise and ensure the full payment before the deadline to book a seat for the 2026 Hajj exercise. Eda explained that all payment to the board must be via a bank draft, as no cash transaction will be entertained. He said all payments for the exercise are to be concluded before the deadline to enable the board to compile the actual list of intending pilgrims and remit all funds to the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON. Meanwhile, the director requested those who have made a payment above the actual Hajj fare to forward their account details to the board to get a refund of the excess payment. And now in business, Nigeria exported petrol valued at 371.54 billion naira in the second quarter of 2025, the first time the product has appeared in the country's export records. This milestone follows the startup of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and its first recorded shipment of the product. Figures from the National Bureau of Statistics show that petrol accounted for 1.63% of total export in the quarter, compared to 0 in the previous quarter and the same period of 2024. Of the recorded shipments, 85.83 billion naira worth was delivered to West Africa, while over 3/4 found markets in Asia and the Middle East, highlighting the refinery's global orientation from the onset. Despite this progress, the country continues to import significantly larger volumes than it exports. Petrol imports in the second quarter of 2025 reached 2.38 trillion naira, a decrease from 4.36 trillion naira in the same quarter of 2024, but still more than 6 times the value of exports. European and Asian stock markets largely gained on Monday, and gold hit a record high after U.S. inflation figures met expectations, suiting concerns about President Donald Trump's latest tariff salvo. Investors were keeping a wary eye on Washington, where lawmakers have failed to reach a funding compromise to keep the government running, which observers say could affect the release of key data. The dollar dropped against main rivals, while oil prices retreated on speculation that OPEC Plus will increase output, fanning concerns of the glut. The drop followed last week's rally on mounting tensions between NATO countries and oil producer Russia, increasing the possibility of fresh sanctions on Moscow. All 3 main indices in New York ended in the green on Friday, snapping 3 straight losses following news that the Federal Reserve's preferred gauge of inflation rose in line with expectations, giving the bank room to cut interest rates again. While the 2.7% reading on the August Personal Consumption Expenditures Index was up from 2.6% in July and well above the Fed's 2% target, policymakers are focusing on supporting the labor market after a string of weak jobs readings. And now on the foreign scene, insurgents linked to the Islamic State group in northern Mozambique killed 4 civilians in an attack on the town of Macomia, a local military official and residents told AFP on Monday. Renewed attacks have been reported in recent months in Cabo Delgado province, where the insurgency has been raging since 2017 and where a stalled multi-billion-dollar liquefied natural gas project operated by French energy giant Total Energies is awaiting to restart. The Mozambican authorities did not comment and rarely confirmed such incidents. A large military base for Rwandan forces, which have supported the Mozambican army in Cabo Delgado since 2021, is located just outside of Macomia. Another resident said the insurgents had fatally shot a young man who refused to hand over his father's belongings. At least 6,200 people have been killed since the insurgency started in 2017, according to conflict monitoring group lled. Police in Madagascar's capital fired tear gas on Monday at thousands of people who returned to the street for a 3rd round of youth-led protests against water and power cuts, with many calling for the government's resignation. Inspired by the so-called Gen Z protests in Kenya and Nepal, the demonstrations are the largest the Indian Ocean island has seen in years and the most serious challenge President Andry Rajoelina has faced since his re-election in 2023. Authorities declared a dusk to dawn curfew on Thursday after protests in the capital turned violent. Protesters on Monday gathered at a university in the capital where they waved placards and sang the national anthem before attempting to march through town. In another part of town, police cleared rocks and telephone poles that protesters had used to barricade roads and fired tear gas to disperse the crowd, footage broadcast on Real TV showed. Many in the crowd called for the resignation of Prime Minister Christian Nsei, his government and Rajoelina. The latest protest comes after Rajoelina said on Sunday he would thoroughly review the reform the government in the country. It's now time for sports updates with Adeni Ajishafe.
New Premier title winners emerged at Lekki Scrabble classes as Abdulmumin Jimon led through the field to clean the prize money and trophy, while Bukumi Afolayan picked the championship division win after the two-day Scrabble classics, as both winners logged their names on the prospective trophies in round 17 with a game to spare. Abdulmumin wrapped up the title with 14 wins, 4 defeats, and plus 1,569 ahead of John Ayedun, David Orji, Larry Etuwa, and Khalil Adedeji in the top 5. His good form in recent times propelled him to top podium finish at the Bobu International Scrabble Tournament and the National Sports Festival. Despite solid performance from the rave of the moment and world best youth female Scrabble player Sophia Ekeruche, rattling the championship division with her dexterity, finishing second with 13.5 points and a plus 1,239 cumulative points as experienced Bukumi Afolayan claimed the title with 16 wins and plus 1,357. The highlights of the tournament showcased strong competition posed by the youth players to unsettle older players. The Premier and Championship Division winners, Jimo and Afolayan, feels elated for pulling through one of the toughest tourney.
I just had to maintain the tempo. I just had to keep on playing, trying to improve day by day and move by move. I guess that's what happened. That's what gave me the win for this tournament. I played a couple of words, but I guess I should call this sauropod. Sauropod was.
I feel so excited and elated because when I was coming for this competition, I was thinking that I was not informed because I had some engagement that really took my time, so I couldn't study. I didn't even really prepare. But as God would have it, sometimes the residual knowledge and everything still came to play, and I was able to win.
Uganda player Dorothy valued the standard of the Scrabble tournament.
Compared to all the other tournaments, this has been a very good outing because it has helped me assess where I am standing at the moment, and I think we are doing well from where we started 1 year back. I stand today very happy knowing that I came out here and I presented my best self.
Lekki Scrabble Club president points out the aim of the competition in developing Scrabble sport while appreciating participants.
We had 120 players on ground. So it's been an exciting 2 days. The competition has been fierce. A lot of the top players who will be representing Nigeria at the World event in November are on ground. And they are all here to show that they are ready to go and conquer the world.
Winners received prizes and plaques in ecstasy at the 2025 edition, involving players from Ghana, Uganda, and United Kingdom participating at the annual Scrabble showpiece. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And that's a wrap on News Hour. Do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms for more programs, news, and documentaries. I am Dorcas Yakubuzala. Thank you for watching.